Um, I just followed the outline that you presented for us. So just reviewing our SPF and our CMAS. Right now, we are classified as a school in priority improvement. In achievement for reading, we're at 25%. In achievement for math, we're at 25%. Growth for math is at 38.5 MGP. And growth for literacy is 49.5% MGP, which really leads us to we're 0.5% away from meeting expectations for growth in literacy.
Okay, so we decided to tackle and respond to some of this data through our 90-day plan. And the first big rock is then around questioning and literacy, which is curricular components on the instructional infrastructure. Over the last year and a half, Laredo has really taken a strategic approach to literacy, and that strategy was grounded in the foundation of the 5 components of literacy. We've really looked at phonemic awareness and phonics with the hopes of closing some of those early literacy gaps for our more vulnerable learners. And that actually did result in some incremental growth across all categories on CMAS and a reduction in does not meet for ELA. So in looking at our CMAS achievement and growth data, our iReady data, our AIMS data, and our developmental spelling inventory data, we were able to confirm that we were ready to move on to the next phase with our literacy strategy, which was and is comprehension and vocabulary. We're tackling that through questioning in literacy. This was also in response to our RMC audit, where the auditors found that our teachers were not shifting the cognitive lift of the learning to our students. They were handling a lot of that hard work on their own. So we are looking at scaffolding questioning sequences to maintain the rigor of the standards and provide access for students at all levels to those standards. We're also looking at utilizing research-based instructional strategies and really moving our teachers from saving our students from doing the hard work to serving them and allowing them to be able to do that. We met with our ILT and decided to take a 3-pronged approach to this. The first would be through lesson plannings that include intentional questioning, instructional strategies that promote intentional questioning, such as the closed reading strategies from Wonders, and research-based student engagement strategies. We're utilizing ones that come from Marzano and then modeling those strategies through PD and PLCs ourselves. This is what each of those critical action steps look like in our 90-day plan. And then something else that came out of our RMC audit was that Sandy and I, in essence, waited too long to monitor the work that we were trying to promote last year. And so what is that has compelled us to do this year is to really align our observation and feedback practices with each other and our teaching partner as well. We have aligned our schedule so that we are in classrooms 60% of the time. And we also have built in an observation feedback opportunity into our PLCs, where teachers are bringing instructional videos to weekly PLCs in order to calibrate their practices around questioning.
So our second big rock in our 90-day plan is math unit planning and instruction, which falls under the curricular components of the instructional infrastructure. I have contracted out with 2 partners, mathematical consultants. They have a history of success in APS. They've worked with Yale, Peoria, Elkhart, and so we're really focused on that work. The rationale behind that is we've not had math as a focus since I've been here, and there's a lot of excitement around doing a deep dive into math and building capacity for teachers and increasing student achievement. Because of our long-range literacy plan, as Jenny just spoke of, really working on those foundational pieces, we didn't feel we were ready to take on a dual focus. But now we think we are, and teachers were really asking for it. So we think we're ready. We know we're ready to do this. So working with two partners is a two-pronged approach. The first being professional learning. And under the professional learning is we are really coaching teachers on what good Tier 1 instruction looks like. A three-part lesson, how can we work with bridges and use that model that everyone is used to. And teachers were saying it's not possible, but now they know it is, and we're seeing success. We really want to allow students to have that time to collaborate and to have shared discourse and to productively struggle. Again, based on that RMC audit with the reference being made or the observation being made that students were not required to do the cognitive lift. We're really working on the teacher as the facilitator and what does it look like to facilitate through productive struggle for the teacher, and what does it look and sound like for a student to productively struggle, and when do we intervene to ask a question to get them through that struggle. A second part of that is small group. When we were working with ILT on our 90-day plan, they really brought to light something that Jenny and I knew, and that was small group instruction for math really wasn't happening on a consistent basis last year. And it was always, we don't have time. So now that we have started planning our lessons in the three-part model, teachers are finding time, and it is an expectation through our 90-day plan that small group instruction to work on unfinished learning is happening. And there is, based on a standard and then scaffolding up to allow students access points to that grade level content. The third part of that is I now have a dedicated math interventionist that works with grades 2 through 5. Our focus is on the students that are nearest to grade level. And so we are doing a really intense 4 to 6 week intervention process using the Bridges intervention materials for support in that. Students are progress monitored every 4 days. We look at that data to see where students are progressing and why students aren't progressing, and the next step in that. And so that is another deep dive in that. The next thing we have is through under that planning lens with two partners, we really discovered that teachers didn't know how to plan using Bridges. And so we have a monthly unit planning time that we get subs, and we support teachers to meet with two partners and Jenny and myself in our respective focus grade levels. And we get together, teachers do the math, we look at the priority standards map, and really say, out of this unit, what are our learning targets? What are the questions that our kids need to answer? What is the learning? Through this, we have found some opportunities for teacher growth and understanding the mathematical models that we need to understand to be able to teach to our students, so they will have those to ground their understandings, and that will also increase student achievement in math. Last thing through two partners that I'm really excited about is fourth grade is a focus grade level for us in math. And so I am having a coach from two partners come in weekly and support fourth grade. It says fourth and fifth grade here, but as I met with two partners today, we discovered that, fifth grade is really not the focus group. And so we're gonna do fourth grade, and we're going to really focus in on that intervention and the interventionist, because that is a big bang for our buck area. So we're going to be doing that. She'll be here weekly, planning, modeling, teaching side by side, using that gradual release model to really build capacity of the fourth grade team, knowing that that's a very important grade level as we move forward in our growth. So when we get to the human resources and support services, here's our partner. Here are our partners and our work that we are requesting support with.
So our attendance team, Jamila has graciously chosen our school to be one of her focus schools this year. And through our work with her already, we meet with her bi-monthly, twice every 2 weeks. And we have done a self-assessment with her that have allowed us to choose some real actionable goals around roles and responsibility, data tracking, and then attendance follow through with our tier 2 and tier 3 attendance concerns. We've also looked at some targeted timely incentives and have added our family liaison to our team in order to continue to grow the relationships with our communities and work to meet their needs with regard to attendance and a variety of other things that we found through our problem solving. As far as behavior support goes, we're also working with Jake Potter to develop a consistent tier 1 system that is grounded around restorative practices. You'll see at the bottom that he is part of a 5-week professional development cycle. He's given 2 professional developments to our staff already to sort of restructure and refocus restorative practices. He's also working with our new dean to implement our behavior system and to support her in understanding what the role of the dean really is.
We are also working closely with our ESS TOSA and our ESS consultant to look at service delivery differently. Our CMS data 2 years ago, our students on IEPs were at 48% growth. This past year, they were at 28.5, so that begs the question, why? And so there's no transference of what's being taught in a small group back to the general ed classroom. So we're working with one of our special education teachers for a push-in model. We have a general education teacher in 3rd grade that is very welcoming, and the special education teacher has access to the lesson plan so she can adapt, accommodate the instruction based on the student needs in the IEP in that gen ed setting, so that we can hopefully increase transference of skills from one environment to another. Our other special education teacher is also pushing into 5th grade math and pushing into kinder. So we are excited to see how this new service delivery approach, how that goes, because there's no reason our students on IEPs or students with disabilities cannot learn. We just have to think differently and approach the work differently. We also, Jenny and I are working with an administrative coach. We work 4 hours a week with Elkhart on targeted goals to develop what we have determined is our long game and our short game. The focus areas, Jenny and I were both looking at the school as a whole system, and with everything that we have, through this coaching, it was determined that, we really need to have to break up our focuses. And so I focus on what we call the long game, which is kinder through 2nd, and working on the systems that will sustain us moving forward. And my building focus is math. Jenny's focus grade levels is third through 5th grades, and her building focus is literacy, and that's the short game. Referring back to that 49.5% MGP, this is the shot in the arm that will get us over into meets expectations for literacy. So we're really looking at what we need to do immediately and what we need to do to build our system for the long term. We really are working on changing our relationships with staff. We have to communicate the urgency in the building around our work, and we're doing that with really working on building stronger relationships with staff and being vulnerable because this work is hard, and they need to see that, yeah, it's hard, but we can all do it. There's been a 66% staff turnover in the past 2 years, and that's a good thing. And so now it's incumbent upon Jenny and I to make sure that the staff we have now, that we have, and we can create some longevity with the staff. We have the right people in the right place. So it's exciting in that regard.
All right, so as far as support from the Division of Equity and Learning, our first ask is for financial support with the work with our 2 partner mathematical consultants. What we would like to do is pay teachers 1 hour per week for 25 weeks per diem outside of their contract day so that they can really plan and implement some of the learning that they're getting from 2 partner. The cost for this support will be approximately $20,000. We are waiting for confirmation from budget on that. We have put in our request to get a more solid number, but we don't anticipate it going over $20,000.
And the next ask is, after I looked at this ask that's on here, I did change my my deck, but I see it didn't
refresh.
I didn't refresh, and that's okay. I had this as an ask, but after my learning yesterday with the new teacher center, I don't think this ask is what is necessary at this point. There are some tools, and I think it's important that my teaching partner is in the DDI, facilitation. She does a good job. So if I were to refresh this deck, Laredo is up for an EASI grant. And if we get that grant, that is how I would like to pay for the weekly coach that's coming in to support 4th grade and the interventionist. And that is going to be $17,000. If I don't get the EASI grant, that is another financial ask from the DOEL that I would ask. Sorry, the deck wasn't refreshed.
So we're really looking forward to phase 2.
And so that's our presentation. Are there questions?
So for us, and thank you for your presentation, for us, our responsibility at this point will be, once we come back, actually next week, those of us who will still be here, we're going to go back and review all the presentations, right? And so any specifics that you've asked that impact anyone from the team, they're then going to reach out to you directly to say, this is what we heard. And if that's the case, then here's how we'll be able to support, and you help us schedule what that support is going to look like. Because once we circle back, my ask of you is going to be, are we, or have we done exactly what it is that we promised? Are we meeting the goals that you've set for us in this partnership? And if so, great. If not, then what do we need to do differently? So when we get ready to get to impact, I'm able to see it, right? So Anthony, you didn't have any operational issues. So Damon will be a part of reviewing the presentation as well. So he can see where his side of the shop can actually support. His job will be then to reach out or have his one of his team members reach out to you to then engage in some of the asks that you raise or concerns that you raise.
Okay.
So at this particular point, our job now is when we go back as a team, we're going to review it. Anyone who's specifically identified that needs to reach out is going to reach out. And then we'll start that process of helping support you as you move forward.
Okay. Andre, can I send the refreshed deck to you? Because that one ask is not an ask anymore about the teaching partner.
Yeah, you can send it to Sylvia for me, please.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye.